I'm happy to give Barbados a summary of the directive number 7 that will begin as of midnight tonight. Directive number 6 continues until the last instant of March 27. So there have been some people who are saying because the current directive expires on the 27th, that the 27th has started, and that somehow there's a gray area covering today. That is not the case. The current directive ends at the end of March 27th, and therefore all of the stipulations in the directive take us through up until the very last instant of March 27th. From the very start of March 28th, therefore, a new directive, directive number 7, will come into force. Directive number 7 will last up until the last instant on April 11th. It has already been circulated. We try to make sure that well in advance it is given the widest possible circulation so that individuals can read it and understand it for themselves. You will notice that for the most part things have remained unchanged. And while there has been some significant improvement in terms of our COVID numbers, it is the considered opinion of the Chief Medical Officer and the COVID subcommittee that we need to extend the current conditions, the current stipulations, for another 2-week period. The one important change, or the one change that you will notice immediately, is that instead of the curfew period during the night running from 9 until 6 a.m., it will now run from 9 until 5 a.m. so that you can now move about an hour earlier. But that does not mean, because I know people are going to be asking, so we can go to the beach now from 5? Absolutely not. The times for beaches, the times for exercise remain the same. So beaches and exercise begin at 6 a.m. The arrangements for beaches remain unchanged. Beaches and parks will open from 6 a.m. until 9 a.m. and then be closed until 3 p.m. and will open then until 6 p.m. So 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. In relation to food service restaurants, there seems to have been some confusion, and I therefore want to make it quite clear that food establishments, no matter what kind of food establishment you are permitted to open until 9 in the night. So if you are a snack it, if you are a fine dining restaurant, if you are what the old people call a cook shop, if you are a food van, you are allowed to operate from 7 in the morning until 9 in the night. Now, I want to take this opportunity as well to reiterate, this is not an excuse for an operator of a food establishment to close at 9. The curfew commences at 9. The reason that we've not stipulated a closing time for food businesses is because in many instances, food business operators, sometimes they live on the premises, especially in the rural areas like St. Joseph. In some instances, they live in the neighborhood, and therefore there's no reason to stipulate a 7 o'clock closing time or an 8 o'clock closing time. They can close at whatever time allows them still to get off of the road by 9. And that applies to fine dining, large restaurants, fast food restaurants, any kind of establishment. You must have your people off the road by 9 p.m. So close at a time which allows you to satisfy that requirement. But that time is up to you. If you can close at 9:15 and still get your people off the road by 9, then you're going to be fine. But please do not ask for mercy if at 9:15 you're still on the road because you closed at 9. The curfew will be strictly enforced. In relation to the churches, we understand the significance of the Good Friday, Easter, and so on. We understand the importance of Holy Week to the Christian religious community, and therefore, while we know that some people have been asking for opportunities to do baptisms and so on, and extended congregation sizes for For Holy Week, we regret that we are not able to agree to that, and therefore the stipulations in relation to churches remain the same. So you can still have 75 people for regular church services. You will still be restricted to 25 for weddings and 25 for funerals. But even though we are very sympathetic, Holy Week, I'm afraid, will not see a change in the arrangements for churches. There's been quite a lot of discussion about the reopening of gyms and so on, and believe me, we understand the challenges. We understand that people want to get back out there and do their regular activity, but again, it's the concerted opinion of the Chief Medical Officer and the COVID Committee that at this point in time we need those establishments that were not permitted to open to remain closed. So in this current directive, you will once more see bars, cinemas, gyms, dance studios, dojos, yoga studios, nightclubs and discos are going to be kept closed. The owners of motor vessels, I know that they too were hoping to have the opportunity to reopen, but again, it is felt that it is best to keep those closed at this time. So once more, pleasure craft operators and private boat charters will not be permitted to open during this directive. Let me make it clear, however, that you are still permitted to do maintenance and so on your vessels. For those of you, however, who think that it's an opportunity to take your vessels out and ride up and down, the Coast Guard is going to be watching that. You are allowed to do all the maintenance you need to do. If some of that maintenance requires you to take your vessel out, then that's fine. But you are definitely not going to be allowed to ply your business in terms of taking customers and friends and so on. Now, we have tremendous concerns about the upcoming Easter weekend. And I understand that this will be an important bank holiday, but we still feel that we need to keep the brakes on for a while longer. And therefore, for the Sunday tomorrow, Sunday 28th, Good Friday, Sunday 4th of April, Easter bank holiday, and Sunday 11th of April, we will once more have the partial shutdown. And therefore, only certain specified businesses are going to be allowed to open. Bakeries can open if they wish for the baking of bread, but they will not be allowed to sell bread during those days. So no bread vans, no bread depots can be open. Farms, of course, must be allowed to operate. Cleaning services that clean for essential services, they can operate. Fuel manufacturers, gas stations, hotels and so on, they can all operate. So the same businesses that were allowed to open last Sunday are those which are going to be allowed to open on this Sunday, tomorrow, Good Friday, Sunday 4th of April, Easter Monday, and Sunday 11th of April. So those businesses that are mentioned in paragraph 6 of the directive, and I encourage you to look to see where you fall, and the directive is available on government's website and in other places. Look to see where you fall, but on those days, we're expecting the majority of businesses to be closed. And under this directive, once more, unless you are doing business with one of those kinds of establishments that are allowed to open, you have to stay at home. Plain and simple, you have to stay at home. Now, let me warn you, we are going to be taking the business of enforcement very seriously over Easter weekend. So those individuals who are planning on picnics on Easter Sunday and little mini lines on the beach on Easter bank holiday, that is not permitted, and therefore enforcement will be strict. Beaches and parks are open only for swimming and exercise, not for picnics, not for gatherings, not for recreational activity. And therefore we will be out in great numbers with the enforcement team during those periods, and we really want to ask Barbadians to cooperate with us. So on the behalf of Prime Minister, Cabinet, and all of the COVID committee, we want to thank you for working with us. We want to thank those of you who are recognizing the importance of following the protocols. I have to say that in many instances, we're still getting reports of individuals on minivans and ZRs who are not following the protocols. We are still getting calls about people who are having little limes in their backyards and so on. Please desist from these things. They provide opportunities for the spread of COVID, and we really don't want to have to tighten back up the restrictions. We hope that you will enjoy the spiritual gift of Holy Week, and in your celebration, please remember all of the frontline workers, all of the individuals who have been suffering from COVID, and all of those individuals who are struggling mightily with having to live and exist at this difficult time. Now more than ever, we need your prayers and supplications.